In this game, winners win, and I only back winners. Trainer Kenny McPeak is a proven winner, and his horses are in my portfolio. And now they can be in yours too. McPeak's champion horses and Derby hopefuls are now featured on Morning Line. With Morning Line, I don't just watch the race. I own the moment. I invest in champions. This is my edge. Buy, sell, trade anytime. Morning Line, own the game.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside Mike Beer with producer Bobby helping us out as we head on over to Santa Anita. It's a very busy Saturday. We're going to preview a graded stakes race out there, the Robert B. Lewis, and there are Kentucky Derby points up for grabs there. But before we do, we want to let you know about one of the new sponsors for Daily Racing Form videos that are morningline.io. Old school ownership locks you in with fees, markups, and no exit. Morning Line offers a modern alternative, license access to elite racehorses with flexibility to buy, sell, or trade anytime. No ongoing costs. Only on morningline.io. Mike, based on some of the weather, the schedule this week is kind of funny. You have 2 Kentucky Derby points races on Friday and then 2 more on Saturday. So by the end of Saturday, we may know a lot more than we do right now, because with Ted Noffey out of the picture, this group, this feels just like it's wide open and it's kind of up for grabs.
Yeah, as always, and we're early on the Derby trail. So as always, they're still trying to sort themselves out. We've already lost a couple of major players. A lot of horses, still have to prove that they belong, and we'll see if any of these horses here in the Lewis, if they can sort of throw their hat into the ring.
As is usually the case in these graded stakes races in Southern California, Bob Baffert has a strong hand. He has the 3 to the inside, but I don't think it's just those 3, Mike. The 4 Intrepido is also a grade 1 winner going long at Santa Anita, beat both the 1 and the 2, even secured Freedom to the outside. I think is an interesting horse who was very impressive winning for Tim Yakteen. So while it's not the biggest field in the world, I did think it's somewhat competitive and maybe just a little more so than the Bafferts.
No, I agree. I mean, listen, he's got 3 in here, and maybe he's just got the 3 most talented horses in the race. I guess we'll see how that all plays out. But it's not like, any of Baffert's horses have, necessarily distinguished themselves so far. They're fine. All 3 of them are fine, but they've all got something to prove still.
What's tough sometimes in these races is the pace, right? So let's get to the Timeform US pace projector. When Baffert has a couple, you have to sort of figure out which is the one that's going to go. Based on some of the recent workouts I've seen, and just the fact that Desert Gate draws the inside and might even be just naturally quicker than Cherokee Nation, certainly is than Plutarch, I feel like he's the Baffert that's going to go.
I felt the same way about it. I guess we'll see how Baffert feels about that and how his riders feel about it as well. But he's got a great post position, and he's naturally fast. I mean, the only time the Del Mar Futurity 2-back where he wound up at the back of that pack early, because he didn't break great in that race. But his other races, he's shown good speed all 3 times.
Let's meet the field for the Robert B. Lewis. This one is race number 8 on Saturday at Santa Anita, February the 7th. Kentucky Derby points up for grabs here. We kick things off with Desert Gate. He is a grade 3 winner, but he hasn't raced since October, Mike. He was supposed to run in the Breeders' Cup initially, and then I think another race he was entered in previously, but has not raced. He scratched a little before the Breeders' Cup. Probably would have been like a 3rd or 4th choice in that field. Like, he would have been a contender heading into that race, but he's had time off. But now, if you're just looking at his work tab, he has not missed a work since December the 15th. So about a month and a half now consecutively where he has not skipped a beat. And those works have been strong, and they've almost been the same if you're looking at on First.TV. He works inside of Getaway Car. He gets to the lead. He holds that lead inside. Next time out, Butane gets to the lead in front of Butane, kind of holds that position. Then again, on January the 31st, you see in the inside of Litmus Test, gets to the front, holds that all 3 times inside, getting to the lead of Workmate, kind of holding that position. It looks like what he could try to do on paper here.
Yeah, that seems like exactly. I think you're exactly right. And listen, well, he's obviously pretty talented. I mean, I really liked he won the first 2 starts of his career. I really liked both of those performances. And I even thought his Del Mar Futurity was a really, really good effort. This is his most recent start. This is the last time we saw him that we're looking at right now, Gino, where, I would just say he runs fine in this race. This was his first two-turn test of his career. I think it's kind of fair to say he didn't pass it. I mean, it's not like it's not a good performance, but he was 4 to 5 in there. He did make the lead. He was, taking some pressure along the way. The race. It's not like he got totally loose, but it just felt like a race he had every chance to win, and he could not hold off the closing winner, who's back in this race, Plutarch, who he barely held off for second there. Actually seemed like he got by him late in the race, and Desert Gate got a very lucky head bob to hold second in there. So I think he's good. I think he deserves another chance to stretch out, but we've seen him go 2 turns once, and it's not the best race of his career.
Completely agree. Like, everything on paper looks really good. I think his preparation for this looks really good, but you want to swallow a short price on him when those two horses in that same race we were watching ran just as well as him. Yeah. They're going to be better prices than he is in this race. And the horse right next door to him, Plutarch, is a horse who I've always been wanting to see in these types of races, right? Because this horse doesn't have a whole lot of early speed, but certainly has some ability. And the best race, really the two best races by speed figures for this horse, are going long on the dirt. And I thought the last effort on the turf was just a softer group where it was finally a put it all together performance for Plutarch, but he's shown ability in each of his starts. He's the type of horse who he's a little quirky because he doesn't have some early speed. So he'll kind of miss the break, sort of rush up into it sometimes. But if he's able to put it all together mentally, he is a horse that has shown some real ability. And I think he fits here, and I want to keep an eye on him as the races get longer.
I agree with all that stuff, especially when you just I know he's a good turf horse, man. And so maybe that's where his future lies. I mean, his turf races, they are really good, even though the figures are a little bit lower than his dirt races. They're good performances, but he's bred to be just as good on dirt. And his pedigree is all dirt and distance. And I'm with you. I mean, his 2 dirt races, he's finished behind the 2 horses who were the morning line favorites in this race. So he's obviously got ground to make up on those 2 horses, but I think he ran really well both times. His career debut, when Intrepido beat him, he was super green early in that race and really seemed like he figured it out in the late stages, was really running at the end of that race. And then the only other dirt start, the American Pharoah, the replay we just watched there, where he did have to come through on the inside. I mean, I'm not going to say he had a big excuse in there, but I thought he ran really well in that race too. I'm with you, Gino. I think this is a super interesting horse going forward.
Another one who's been training really well in the mornings too. A lot of the Baffords do, but you can kind of see him figuring things out more and more. You can watch, I think, the last 3 of his works, the 19th, 26th, and February 1st work, all available on first.tv. Now we move to the maiden Cherokee Nation. Completely missed the break in that most recent start. Mike, he was last of 5, and he had to angle around widest of all. He really did get going late with a pretty big gallop out.
Yeah, and it was a pretty moderate pace too. So for him to miss the break there and then to have to try to come from last, it's enough of an excuse. If you wanted to say he didn't win last time, but he ran the best race, that's fine with me. I still don't really like his overall form. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe this horse just got hustled in here. I'm kind of surprised Baffert enters him in another stakes race.
Yeah, one who just hasn't been able to get the big victory yet. They sent him to Churchill Downs too, came back, and in the mornings I haven't seen as much from him as the inside 2. We moved to Intrepido, Grade 1 winner, going a mile and a 16th at Santa Anita. This one's going a mile at Santa Anita. He was only 5-1 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but honestly, he hopped at the start. He was last, about 5 or 6 lengths off. He moved to the outside. He just never really got involved in that race after a slow start, and it was just a tough spot for him to try to make up ground in what wasn't really the biggest field in the world. So they gave him a couple months off, kind of a starting over spot for him here. Mike, what do we do with Intrepido?
I mean, listen, he's very logical here. I'll just say this about him. I think you're right that maybe the Breeders' Cup it's not a race to hold against him necessarily. I personally thought he was bad in that race. He didn't break well in that race. After that, I just didn't think he did any running at all. And I thought it was a pretty poor performance. And I just put that in the light of, I know he won a Grade 1 prior to that. And he also beat Plutarch when he broke his maiden. I personally wasn't thrilled with either one of those performances. And then he went into the Breeders' Cup and just, I thought, ran a really bad race. He's obviously good. This is a good spot for them to get started back with, but I'm not a fan of this horse. And he's going to be one of the favorites in here. And if I bet the race, I'll bet somebody else.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Like, I liked him a little more last year going into the Breeders' Cup. I I'm not upset with him that he didn't win that race. I just wanted to see a little bit more. This really showed nothing in that race at all. Let's go to Briggs Army Power, who is a horse who's going to be coming over to Santa Anita, going to be stretching out from 6.5 furlongs at Turf Paradise, where he was in the Lost in the Fog, and he was actually the favorite that day. Didn't show anything. Prior to that, he won a small stakes over at Arapahoe. So, I mean, this is a total acid test for this horse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's obviously really hard to make a coherent case for him in a race like this. But if you found something you liked, he'll be the longest shot on the board.
We move to Robusta. Robusta has started 2 times. The sprint debut showed a little bit of speed in between horses. Then when stretching out to a mile on January the 9th, really good start, got the lead, cleared by a length. It was just a field of 5 that day, but this horse was 24-1. And that was in the race where Cherokee Nation had a slow start. So the 3-5 favorite Blacksmith didn't really fire. And then Cherokee Nation had a slow start. So the complexion of the race changed quite a bit. I want to give the horse credit for winning, but in a small field, when the 2 heavy favorites don't fire and really don't break out of the gate, then everything's a little bit different on paper. And this is going to be a much tougher test for Robusta, having to deal with probably Desert Gate and maybe a horse like Briggs Army Power even stretching out. Like, there will be some company up front.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add to that. I think you and I sort of look at him the same way. I'll give him the credit he deserves for pulling off that upset last time, breaking his bait when they stretched him out. But he just had all the best of it that day on a really soft pace. And it's not like he was finishing that strongly either, even after a pretty easy trip in there. I mean, he was not going to hold onto that lead for very much longer.
We move to Secured Freedom, who has raced twice in that career debut. Slowish start, was 3 deep, was in between horses, did make a nice move all the way up to about a length off and then backed up. It was kind of weird, came on again, sort of green. So I like actually when the horses do that in their debut, kind of run in spots and show you they still have something left late. And in that race, lost to a horse named So Happy, who came right back out of that race to win the Grade 2 San Vicente next down. Is a pretty nice horse. Secured Freedom then in career start number 2 on December the 28th. I think we have a replay of that one. Was sitting 4th, was about 3 lengths off early and made a pretty nice move. Took a few strides to get straightened out. I thought was strong late and earned a nice buyer speed figure at an 88 in doing so. I thought the workouts recently in the morning pretty strong as well. And I think just from a betting standpoint, if the Bafferts take the money, which we expect, you and I aren't too high on Intrepido here. I think this horse might be an interesting price if you do get somewhere between like 6 and 10-1-ish in that 6-8-1 range. I just felt like this is a horse who should be fine going a little bit longer. What are you going to do with Secured Freedom?
I agree with everything that you just said in this race. I mean, if I was going to play, sort of a little bit of an outsider, a horse who should be a fair price, it's going to be this horse. I just feel like when I watch him run Gino his first 2 starts, I just feel like he's run well both times. He doesn't seem like a sprinter to me. Like he works really hard trying to keep up with the paces early, and then he still finishes really well at the end. I feel like this horse is really going to appreciate having a little bit more ground to work with. I don't know if this is the right spot for them to stretch him out for the first time, but maybe it is. The figure he earned in his most recent start suggests he fits really well in here.
The real key to the race is the shape. I think if he sits like 3rd, maybe he can get a really nice trip if Robusta goes, if Desert Gate goes, and those 2 are pushing the pace, and then you have maybe Secured Freedom just sitting right off of them. Maybe he works out a nice trip in here. As we move to selections, Mike, that's where I'm going to land because I'm going to look for a little bit of value. I do really respect both the 1 Desert Gate and the 2 Plutarch. I think in this field, Desert Gate with the inside draw has everything really going well for him on paper. Plutarch might be the horse I'm most interested out of this race down the line. 2 months from now, if we're talking about who might be a horse that makes it to the Kentucky Derby, I might be the most interested if that's Plutarch. So for me, I'm going to stack them 7-1-2-4. For you, 2-1-4-3. Talk to us a little bit about Plutarch.
Yeah, I'll just first of all, I just want to say I like your pick too, and that's a horse I didn't ultimately get there, but he's my kind of horse in races like this. I'm glad that you picked him. He'll be a good price in this race. I'm going to just take Plutarch. I didn't want Desert Gate on top, although I feel like this is a really good spot for him to come back off the left. I want to give Plutarch one more chance here to prove that he's a dirt router, because I think that's what he ultimately might be, as good as he is on the grass.
Yeah, our colleague David and I talked about Plutarch a couple times early in his career too. We've always sort of thought he was, he was a good horse who had distance and big races down the line in him. So we'll see if that happens this weekend. We'd love to know who you like. Make sure to drop a comment in the comment section. Subscribe to the YouTube channel below. Whoever you play, however you play them, wish you the best of luck.